guess it's the architecture that was really the first thing that was sort of very enchanting. We draw on inspiration from sort of like history and Italian culture and European culture. So for us, the architecture was somewhere that we felt this building was somewhere that we could really fit in, and I think that we had. For us, what's really different is, I guess, some of the things that we do are reasonably unique. We make all the pasta on premises here, which is really an important cornerstone of Italian cooking. Pasta's what really sets Italian cuisine apart from other cuisines. So we make dry and fresh pasta here, which isn't something that you find in most restaurants. So we had specific equipment built. Was purpose built for this restaurant when we opened. The other thing is we really showcase and profile some of the world's best extra virgin olive oils that are all made in Australia. So that's really, olive oil is another real important cornerstone of Italian cooking, and I've been a national judge for 16, 17 years now in Australia. We produce some of the best extra virgin olive oils in the world. We regularly rank in the top sort of 18 oils in the world. We've recently launched the Milan Cricket Club in the LaRosa space as a fun pop-up. We did that because there were chefs that were out at work around the place, and we thought it's an opportune time to do something which is quite different and really collaborate with other chefs. So we've got a program of chef in residence in that space going forward, and that's been really exciting. We've worked with a guy called Nick Hill on the first sort of incarnation of the Milan Cricket Club, which is this British Italian steakhouse. It's actually a concept that I had sort of developed many years ago. It's a kind of an interplay between creativity, your own personal creativity and things that you really like, and then really understanding how that's going to translate into a marketplace for a clientele. I think we're here really to make our diners happy, less than probably make massive individual culinary statements. Of course, we work with the seasons. Some things are just, in this 24/7 sort of 365 day a year reality we live in now. A lot of things are available all year, but some things still are only seasonal. And so we will work with produce. Produce is really where it all starts. And then there's this real connection you have with produce and what you want to do. I guess that transformative process, which is like taking something from the earth and then turning into something really beautiful on the plate that tastes amazing. That's the creative sort of process that all chefs, are really driven by in some way. People that had a tendency to enjoy cooking probably had the opportunity to do a lot more of it than they've done in a long time, purely because they really didn't have much else to do. It was kind of natural that everybody really started getting into that. And then I think for a lot of people it's actually quite it's kind of therapeutic thing, and it's a stress release. So for a lot of people, they started to connect with a sense of joy that you get from cooking and that process that you go through of, from preparing the basic ingredients through the cooking of it. And I think that heaps of people got into baking bread. It's making pasta and doing stuff like that. Well, I mean, if you take the time to actually do that, it is really a beautiful thing to do. I guess the whole experience of COVID for us had been a real roller coaster ride. No one was really prepared for this, and no one really knew what to expect. So we were allowed to reopen for 10 people, and it was really tasting menu, six-course tasting menu only, and that was like a real departure. We've done tasting menus for a long time, but never just tasting menus. It was really up there in terms of the price, and I guess when we reopened and we did that for 10 people, it was so well received that it really blew us away. We remodeled the whole of the restaurant, so we remodeled all the table sizes, all the tabletops were made bigger. We had all the restrictions on spacing, the 4 square metre rule, the 1.5 metre rule, distance between patrons. So that all really delivered a restaurant that was kind of like taking Pendolino to a style of dining that I never thought we'd probably ever do. But when we did it, our clientele were really welcomed it. I'm spending a lot more time in the kitchen again, which has been, I really enjoyed that, and I think our clients have really enjoyed that as well, like seeing me sort of in the restaurant a fair bit. It's probably changed the style of the restaurant forever, and in a really positive way. Yeah, so Luca, our son, is currently working inside the restaurant. He's working in the kitchen on a daily basis. He's in the middle of a gap year. What a gap year it's been for him. He was going to go and do 2 vintages of winemaking, one in Australia and one in Europe, one in Italy. Last year, of course, the bushfires happened in Australia, and the guys he was working with, Pigs Peak Winery in the Hunter Valley, they still actually made wine, but they sort of got into that, and then COVID happened, so he got sent back. So I said, well, come and work in the family business for a while. So he's done that, which is really good of him. And then, of course, we couldn't get to Italy, so he wasn't going to go and do the vintage, which would have happened around September in Italy. That didn't happen. So he's here at the moment, and a bit of fun. It's been really nice for me to have him around, to be honest. I really like it. I like seeing him every day. You just really have to be quite nimble at the moment. I think everybody does. Great brands can have problems because they're having to find themselves in difficult places and difficult locations. Seminal changes just often deliver different scenarios, not necessarily worse either. They're just different. And who would have thought on Pitt Street that you'd ever have a car dealership, selling cars? Yeah, I think the key for businesses like ours and for everybody is really you need to keep an open mind, and you need to be watching what's going on in terms of what customers are doing and what their behaviour is and where the opportunities are going to be going forward. Because there usually are opportunities, as much as we don't like having to recalibrate our thinking all the time. And this is definitely a biggie for a lot of people. You have to, as you could say. So one of the big things, I guess, that happened was we have a very detailed wine program for both the restaurants, and we source directly from about 22 boutique producers in Italy, as well as 3 champagne houses. And this is something that's kind of a unique thing that we do as well. And we had an online wine store, but we never really did much about promoting it. It's not our core business. And with COVID, we really ramped that up, and that went from sort of like 0 to 200 kilometres an hour really quickly. Of course, it was still not really in the general scheme of things in terms of our whole business. It didn't really substitute. It wasn't an adequate substitute for what we do as restaurants, but. It was something that was really fascinating, and because restaurant consumption has actually declined, and particularly in the CBDs, and that's where a lot of the most probably luxury end restaurant offers typically are. There's lots of wine that was previously only reserved for on-premise inside of restaurants. So there's big stocks of this that have come up as well. So for the first time in history, certain wines from certain wineries and certain vintages are really being released for retail, which is really fascinating in terms of what's happened. So, and we've definitely also really been part of that as well. So that's been fun to actually offer these things for the first time in history as part of our sort of our online retail channel. So that's been fun and interesting. It was really good.